In this video, we're going to cover wall penetrations. And wall penetrations are located under the measure button. And we've got a wall penetrations feature right here. And basically how wall penetrations work is the CAD department needs to give us 2 points that represent either the center of a pipe or conduit that's going to be penetrating that wall, or if it's going to be maybe like a saw cut opening, they might want to give us the 2 bottom corners, but we need 1 point on either side of the wall, roughly 6 to 12 inches on either side of that wall. And the reason being is what we're going to do is we're going to give the instrument a reference line that intersects that wall or penetrates that wall. And the reason why we have to do this is if we just put 1 point on the wall itself, if that wall was in the wrong spot, the patented technology and algorithms that our equipment runs, if that wall isn't perfect, it's not going to let you stake that point out. So we know that walls aren't perfect, they're not in the right spot, they're not perfectly plumb. So rather than get an error every single time, we make you do a point on either side of the wall, but this allows you to do that reference line that intersects the wall. So I'll demonstrate this one. So I'm in wall penetrations. Actually, let me go back into it so you can see what happens. I say wall penetrations. It says select 2 points to perform a wall penetration. So I'm going to select this point here and this point here. And these points simply equal the center line of that pipe. I'm going to say aim. And now what my laser is going to do, and you see my laser here on the screen is going to move. And what it does is it takes a measurement on that wall, and then
stake point.
It figures out what the hypotenuse is, and then it adjusts and moves to the exact spot where that line intersects that wall. Okay, so it says the laser is pointing to the penetration location. I can now go ahead and hit store.
Observation stored.
And now I've recorded that point exactly where that reference line intersects that wall. Now I'm going to do this again, but I'm going to switch it over to the camera mode so you can kind of see what the laser is from the robot is looking at. So if I open up Vision, now you can kind of see I'm in the office, and I've got my whiteboard is what the robot can see, and it's looking at wall penetration 1, and it saved that point. But once you get that first point saved and stored, what we allow you to do now is you can do some offsets from there. So maybe you had a bunch of pipe that were the same size all in a line. You can use those to then move around. So if I go to the input form button, you can do a left offset, a right offset, a top, and a bottom. And I just kept it simple and did increments of 6 inches. You could do a foot, you could be really creative and do 9 inches, you could do half an inch, whatever you wanted to do, you can punch this information in here. And then when I get out of the input form button, you see now I've got some arrows that allow me to go up, down, left, and right. So if I need to put another pipe, maybe say to the left of this point, I can do an offset of 6 inches to the left. And what my laser does is it moves. It's going to take a measurement and then figure out the hypotenuse and then
stake point.
Move to the correct spot and then give me 6 inches straight to the left of that original point. I could store this point.
Observation stored.
And say now maybe I want to go down 6 inches. So I can go 6 inches down. It's going to move off of those points. It's going to take a measurement to figure out where it is. It does some algorithms to adjust the hypotenuse again. And if it doesn't like what it sees, sometimes it'll go back. It'll do a check measure and then come back to it.
Stake point.
And once it's happy with how that mathematics works, then it says, here you go, that's where that point is. And then I can say store that
Observation
point,
stored.
and I can move over, maybe I want to go 6 inches back to the right. So again, it's going to take a check measurement, it's going to adjust, take another measurement,
stake point,
and there you have it. So pretty quickly you can lay out a bunch of pipes on a wall. Okay. Now, if I would have went over and marked these things down, you would have seen that it's a perfect triangle. Now, it doesn't look like a perfect square. It doesn't look like a perfect square because I'm at a bit of an angle to my board. But if you were to measure these points, if you were to mark them on the dry board or on your construction site as you move along, a lot of guys like to get back up there with a tape measure and check, and you'll be right at 6 inches